Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Planning Committee. I'm Martin Warnes, Chair of the Planning Committee, and I will be chairing the meeting. To begin with, there are a few housekeeping matters. Action in the event of an emergency. There are no practice alarms planned for this evening. So if an alarm sounds, please evacuate the town hall by going down the main staircase or the back staircase to the High Street and then to the car park behind the town hall in St Runwald Street. This meeting is being live streamed to the council's YouTube page and will be available after the meeting. Please would speakers use microphones at all times and speak directly into the microphone, and would participants please mute the microphones when not speaking. I'll now ask my colleagues to introduce themselves. That's members of the committee and officers, starting on my left.
Good evening, everyone. Councillor Sam McCarthy, representing Shrub End Ward and Vice Chair of the committee.
Councillor Robert Davidson, representing Mersey and Pyfleet Ward.
Councillor Tracy Arnold, representing Stanway Ward.
Good evening, Chair. Councillor Dave Harris, representing Beerchurch Ward, substituting for Kaylee Rivendell.
Councillor Lee Tate, representing Prettygate Ward.
Councillor Jackie McLean, Markstone Low Ward.
Catherine Spindler, representing the Saints.
Councillor Carl Powling, Mersey and Pyfleet Ward.
Julie Young, Greenstead Ward, subbing for Sam McLean.
Councillor Mark Gocher, representing Castle Ward.
Irene Gimaroki, Historic Buildings and Areas Officer.
And Simon Cairns, Joint Head Planning.
Robert Carmichael, Democratic Services Officer.
Thank you. Members of the committee may use electronic devices to access their meeting papers, and visitors are welcome to use mobile phones and other devices, including cameras, but please use them discreetly and set them to silent, and do not use voice or camera flash functions. If necessary, we will take a break at 7:30 p.m. and every 90 minutes afterwards. There are toilets on every floor in the building and an induction loop in this room. Whilst determination of a planning application is not a quasi-judicial process, unlike certain licensing functions carried out by the local authority, it is a formal administrative process involving the application of national and local policies, reference to legislation and case law, as well as rules of procedure, rights of appeal, and an expectation that people will act reasonably and fairly. All involved in these decisions should remember that the possibility that an aggrieved party may seek a judicial review and or complain to the Ombudsman on grounds of maladministration or breach of the authority's code. I have received apologies from Councillor Rippingale and Councillor Sam McLean, and as previously notified, Councillor Harris is substituting for Councillor Rippingale and Councillor Julie Young is substituting for Councillor McLean. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Gocher.
Just to say, Chair, that I'll be recusing myself from the committee and not voting because I've commented on just about every aspect of Trinity Church, and therefore I will be predetermined, which is why I'm sat separately. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4, urgent items. There are no urgent items. Item 5, have your say. If anyone has a petition they wish to present to me on any of the items on the agenda this evening, please do so now. Item 6, minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of March 2025 are before the committee for confirmation. Are there any points of accuracy that needs to be raised? Can't see any. Okay. Therefore, could I have a proposer and seconder to accept the minutes? Proposed, councillor Davison, seconded, councillor Tate. All those in favour?
That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. So we now move to the main business, which is planning applications. And we have got one planning application, which is number 250384, Holy Trinity Church, Trinity Street, Colchester, CO1 1JN. And the recommendation is to approve, subject to no outstanding objections from Historic England. Presenting officer is Irene Demaruki, and we have one public speaker against, Melina Spantidaki, and we have visiting councillors, Councillor Kafoglu and Councillor Gocha. So, thank you. So could I ask Irene to present the report to the committee?
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Chair. Just bear with me. I can share the screen. I'm sorry.
Just for information for the public, we're just waiting to get up the slides for the report.
Microphone a bit closer. I apologize for that. Yes. So this application relates to Holy Trinity Church. The church is a Grade 1 listed building and situated within the Colchester Conservation Area 1. Its oldest and most distinctive feature is the Saxon tower, and then the rest of the church dates mainly from the 14th and 15th century. And in the 19th century, the North Aisle and North Chapel were added as well. The church was made redundant in the 1950s. It has been vacant for quite a few years now and is not accessible to the public. And it has also been added to the Heritage at Risk Register, Historic England's Heritage at Risk Register. Currently, the council is working with St. Helena's Hospice, well-known charity, in order to finalize the scheme for the refurbishment and reuse of the church. With funding has been secured by the National Lottery Heritage Grant, council funding, and a grant from Historic England for repairs. These works are going to be covered by a future application, but the present application covers various works for the repair and improvement of the envelope of the fabric of the building, in order to facilitate the scheme for its reuse. These works, the need for these works has been established by various surveys, and investigation work has been carried since 2021. And they have revealed various defects and issues that this application hopes to address. First and foremost, it is proposed to re-roof the majority of the roof section was done in 2023, the south aisle and the south chapel, and now it is proposed to re-roof the rest of the roof. This is going to provide an opportunity to introduce insulation over the majority of the church, which of course is going to be very beneficial for the thermal upgrade of the building and its energy performance. and the schedule of works covers various other repairs. There are stone repairs in various areas of the elevation, mortar repairs, the repairs of some cracks, replacement of some stones that are badly decayed, and also the replacement of all rainwater goods that today are they're undersized, they're not appropriate for the church. Overall, the schedule of works and repairs and the specification has been prepared close collaboration with Historic England and the architects of the project. So we are overall satisfied that everything that's proposed is appropriate for the age and the fabric of the building. There are some minor outstanding matters in order to finalize some specification and the case in consultation with Historic England. Hence, the recommendation for the application is approval subject to no objection from Historic England once they provide the final recommendation after these minor revisions, and also delegated powers to the head of planning for finalizing the conditions and planning conditions that are going to be included in the decision. So, sorry, just a bit brief, but essentially it's quite technical application. Essentially intends to bring the building back in good order, address some defects and problems, and essentially preparing for the scheme for its adaptive reuse.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So could I now call forward Melina Spantadaki to speak? Thank you. Now, I understand you've been in conversation with the committee clerk prior to permission being granted to come and have your say today, and therefore can I request that you keep your comments to the planning application in front of us. You will have 3 minutes from the moment you press the red button. Thank you.
I was discussing with Councillor Colchester about this, is that I saw the amendment basically that was sent in the afternoon, and based on what we have proposed, this is not enough. So is that something that I can comment on? So what they are proposing as plan for what we have in mind as use, which we were still fighting for, is not enough. So this is what I want to comment basically. Is that appropriate?
You're entitled to say whatever you like, so long as it relates to the application that is being discussed.
Does it sound like it relates?
Which in this case is about carrying out essential repairs to the property. So carry on, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. At the time that I submitted the initial text for this have your say, the amendment had not been added. The information included in it clarifies better the proposed plans. Nevertheless, I still felt I needed to make some remarks. The work that the Council is preparing to do aims to serve the purpose for the bid that it has currently chosen, that is to partner with St. Helena Hospice and, from what I understand, to make the Holy Trinity a cafe and a retail shop. It is mentioned in the amendment that the current kitchen and bathroom would just have to be replaced with new. My opposition, therefore, about the works proposed is that this is not enough for the purpose of our bid, for which we are still fighting. We, the Friends of St. Martin, have challenged this decision as based in a non-transparent and apparently unlawful procedure. In our complaint, we have elaborated that all justifications provided for the dismissal of the bid were false. We did not apply as an individual, but as a group which is now becoming a charity. The bid is not addressed only to Christians, as we were told, but also to the homeless and also to the deaf community. We have not been, we are not aiming to rely only for funding from the council, but we have agreed to partner with the charity Mind, which assists those with mental illness. From the above, it is evident that our bid is far more beneficial to the community than the one already selected, and it also serves the purpose for which the building was originally built, that is a house of prayer. And I am asking here the planning committee to bear in mind that we are still fighting through the complaints procedure, and maybe even the court if necessary with the judicial review, as you mentioned in the beginning. And we want you to have in mind that this is a possibility, and actually we are asking your support because the procedure with which the bid was dismissed was completely unacceptable.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So could I ask Irene and Simon to respond to the points that relate to the application?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think the vast majority of that submission didn't really relate to the current application for repairs, which, regardless of whatever the use is within this building, they are necessary and essential. I think it's helpful to clarify for the committee that these works solely relate to repairs. They don't relate to enabling the new use, which will form part of a separate application to be considered by this committee in due course. So just to clarify, outside the matters relating to the bid, which clearly are outside the scope of this application, the repair of the building is subject to very detailed proposals which are still ongoing in terms of the detailed specification, negotiation with Historic England, and when they have been concluded with the committee's approval, your officers will collate an appropriate series of listed building consent conditions to control the specification and execution of the works. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Simon. And could I call forward Councillor Kafoglu to speak? And no, sorry, you get your 3 minutes in planning, but thank you very much for coming and having your say. It is appreciated. Could I call forward Councillor Kafoglu? You have 5 minutes.
Dear colleagues, good evening. On page 16, it is mentioned that the council plans to repair and refurbish the church to make the best use of an existing asset, with an explicit commitment to, and I quote, ensure its future economic sustainability and to offer a significant part of Colchester's built heritage back to its community. Early in this report, it was acknowledged that Holy Trinity, and I quote, is a green space between the busy commercial zones of Lion Walk Shopping Centre and Culver Street that contributes positively to the area by virtue of aesthetic qualities of the historic church and the tranquil character of the churchyard. In addition to explicitly stating that the Council will ensure Holy Trinity's future economic sustainability, I would suggest the same level of commitment and reference goes to ensuring, protecting and enhancing the green space value, aesthetic qualities and tranquil character of the churchyard. I'm sure both residents and visitors will appreciate such recognition and commitment from the Council. Although it is stated that Holy Trinity is owned by Colchester City Council, considering its historic and religious significance, I suggest any piece of material which will be removed and discarded for repairs, whether bricks on the roof or the tower slate roof, windows or etc., which are in good use and not contaminated with any harmful substance, should be reused and exhibited in our town hall, museums, and gifted to local churches. Is that something that we could encourage our contractors and partners to do? I believe any material coming out of Holy Trinity should be treated with respect and appreciated as artifacts due to Holy Trinity's historical, spiritual, and religious significance. We have many history enthusiasts and talented wood and stone carvers, as well as pottery makers, so I'm confident that we both have sufficient skill and talent to enhance or reuse these artifacts in their current or reconstructed form. On page 18, under relevant planning history, it is noted that the recent planning history of this site includes planning permission and listed building consent for the change of use from former museum to a cafe with occasional music events and church services. Could I request clarification that occasional church services continues to remain part of planning permission? On page 19, it was noted that Historic England requested additional information and clarifications from the architects and requested an extension of their consultation deadline to the first week of April. Can I get clarifications and updates on these 2 points, please? Although owned by CCC, I acknowledge and appreciate its significance as an ancient church. Therefore, as a ward councillor, I took the liberty of consulting senior clergymen and clergywomen and sought views of Orthodox, Catholic and Anglican churches. I am happy to say that both Archpriest Father Alexander and Parish Priest Father Mark of Orthodox Parish of St. Martin's and St. Helen warmly welcomed the restoration and repairs to Holy Trinity Church as described in planning proposal, noting that it is vital to preserve our local heritage, and as Orthodox Christians it is particularly good to see an ancient church, certainly Saxon or pre-Saxon in origin, where essentially Orthodox worship would have taken place before 1054 AD, being brought into a sound state for future generation. Reverend Chris Smith of St. Botolph Church is also pleased with the proposal and look forward to Holy Trinity Church being restored and available for people of Colchester to enjoy. Father Chris of St. James the Less and St. Helen Catholic Church also expressed his agreement with what has been proposed and expresses recognition that the Council is taking steps to preserve an ancient building sympathetically. Having consulted with parish priests and clergy and knowing the inspirational work as well as public's love, respect and trust for St. Helena Hospice, I also welcome collaborative positive steps taken to restore and rejuvenate the Holy Trinity Church. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I call forward Councillor Gocha to speak? And you have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Just to make clear to anyone watching outside of the chamber as well as in, the application in front of us is about repairs to the fabric of the building, not about wider issues like the churchyard and so on, which have been discussed in previous meetings. And I certainly warmly welcome attempts to restore and rebuild or restore this building and rebuild parts where there are any cracks which sent alarm bells. One thing that stood out in the briefing notes that I read was that the building is currently included in Historic England's Heritage at Risk Register, and that really frightens me. I think we need to realise just what an important historic building this is for Colchester. There's been a church on the site probably since about 1000. That's the Anglo-Saxon period, and parts of the existing tower and west wall are Anglo-Saxon in origin. Now, I know that much of it has been rebuilt over the centuries and augmented, but that in itself tells a fascinating story. After the Norman conquest in 1066, William the Conqueror started a massive programme of church building. Often building Norman churches on the site of Anglo-Saxon churches, which went on for centuries, well into the Middle Ages. And the Trinity Church Colchester tells that story. Parts of it are Norman, parts of it are later. But it tells the whole story of Colchester in the sense as well that it's built out of recycled Roman bricks, much of it. So it's a very important building to Colchester. It's shocking that it's on the the at-risk register of English, of historic England. And let's get that building repaired so that it's not at risk, that it's preserved for future generations, and whatever needs to be done to the roof to stop it leaking, whatever needs to be done to repair the cracks, I think that is vital building work, and whichever whatever occupies that space, whatever bid, is not really something that is for me to discuss tonight. It's about getting that building repaired. And in terms of the site that it's in, the number of historic characters that are associated with that building. John Wilby, buried in the churchyard there, one of the leading composers of Elizabethan madrigals, one of which I was playing to one of my classes today, buried in Trinity Churchyard. William Gilbert, physicist, 5-page Wikipedia page, buried in Trinity Churchyard. This is a historic building in a historic site, and the fact that the building might be in danger in some way is something that we, as a town, as a city, need to take very seriously and do something about. And so whatever organisation occupies the space, whatever happens to the churchyard, and I've already expressed opinions on that subject, but whatever the future, the building itself is what we're here to discuss tonight, and the building itself must be preserved for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, in a moment, I'm going to ask the officers to respond to the visiting councillors. Whilst that's happening, if any of you wish to speak in the debate, please let my Vice Chair know, and I won't let someone come in for a second time until everyone's had an opportunity to speak the first time. Now, Irene and Simon, Councillor Kafoglu raised 2 points, one about the use and the display of materials removed, and the other was seeking clarification that there will be occasional church services allowed to continue. Could you address those points, please?
I might address the issue of the materials where the aim of this consent schedule of works is actually to minimize the impact on the original fabric of the building and not remove any original features and the fabric and any original, such as, for example, the roof tiles are going to be removed for the re-roofing works. The aim is to reuse as much as possible. The ones that cannot be reused, that means that they are such a poor state of repair that they cannot be reused, but other than that, no historic features or decorative elements are going to be removed by the church. There are some stonework repairs, but these are overall quite limited. They are marked very clearly on the elevations. These are relatively limited, and they affect some stone members which are so badly decayed that probably would not merit any reuse. They're very poorly decayed, and other than that, some modern materials are removed, such as the plastic rainwater goods. But other than that, the aim, of course, of the works is to retain and preserve all the fabric of the building and the elements of merit.
Thank you. Simon, do you wish to address the point about future church services?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, in terms of the end reuse, that is a matter which will be covered by a subsequent planning application. So members will be able to consider that in greater detail. As Councillor Chafoglu referred to, there is an extant planning permission which has been implemented, which allows for the flexible use of the building for various events, including those featuring music. Within that definition, I would imagine that services of worship would be more than permitted within the existing use. I can't comment on intentions for the future, but within the existing consent, there is nothing to prevent that. However, given that the church is deconsecrated, I think you may well find that an awful lot of Orthodox churches wouldn't allow services probably to take place in the building any longer, but that's nothing I have any expertise or knowledge of, but it's quite possible that would be the case. In terms of the future use, that will be reported to you in due course, Chair.
Thank you. So we move to members wishing to speak. Councillor Tate, and could Councillor Powling then be ready to speak?
Thank you. We're all more than aware of the importance of this building, and its upkeep is essential. I just have a question, actually, rather than a question. And it concerns, because I can't see any reference to it in here, when it actually comes to doing the repairs, and this is, I think, more from my own knowledge than perhaps anything else, the choosing of contractors. I assume this would be a specialist contractor, and would Historic England have any input into that, the selection process? We wouldn't just get, Royal
I think given that Historic England are part funding the works together with the National Lottery, there will be an awful lot of transparency around the contractors.
Fantastic.
And an appropriate procurement method.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Powling, and then would Councillor Harris then be ready to speak?
Well, it is, as you can see, it is an important building within Colchester, and the applications for the essential repairs to a building, I actually propose we accept the application. So I'd like to propose to accept it.
Councillor Harris.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm willing to second the proposer. For me, this looks a very good application. It really is making watertight and a protected building for the fabric for the future. One thing I was pleased to see in here, that Historic England are heavily involved because they're part funding and they're doing grant funding, etc. I think we can have some faith, if you excuse the pun, in going forward in making sure that that building will be looked after and done properly. So I'm really pleased about that, and I'm also pleased that some years ago when I was in that building, several years, 89 years ago now, it was very, very cold in there, so any thermal improvement of that building has got to be welcomed and making it watertight. The last comment I'd like to make, Chair, if I may, I've got a lot of trust in Environmental Protection Team, but I just want to make the comment to make sure it's not forgotten that this is a heavily footfalled area. A lot of people walk through there day by day, weekends as well, including bank holidays, and I know the hours of work are limited, but of course there may be a lot of dust and debris and detritus that comes from the works that's going on there, so I'm assuming that Historic England would advise with environmental protection, making sure that it doesn't sort of adversely affect the health and the people who are walking about in that area. I think it's a fair point to make. I do trust environmental health. I do trust the Heritage Department, Historic England, but I just want to make that point if I can and get it in the notes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councillor Davison.
Thank you, Chairman. I also would fully support this improvement to the building. Very important building to Colchester's history. There's one thing that is totally missing from this report, which may just because it's a technical issue, but we notice that the tiles that are needing to be replaced are sitting or being affixed to timber boards on top of the rafters. My real concern is that they do need to put a felt on top of the boards under the tiles, because otherwise if a single tile slips, those boards will get wet and it will soak into the building. It's normal building practice. It wouldn't be visible and it would ensure that it was watertight for that much longer.
Thank you, Councillor Davison. Okay, I can't see any other members wanting to speak. Could I ask the officers whether they could address Councillor Harris's point about adverse effect on the public from dust, debris and detritus, and Councillor Davison's point about putting felt. between the boards and the tiles.
Thank you, Chair. Irene is just checking the specification to confirm the issue around the felt, but I'm sure the works will be executed in accordance with good building practice. In terms of the hours of operation and considerate contractors, in effect, for the amenity of residents and obviously visitors to the area, I'm sure this will be something which will form part of the contract. As this is a listed building consent, we can't actually condition hours of operation because it's sort of a planning matter, and this isn't development. But rest assured, members, I'm sure that the team managing this scheme will ensure that the scheme is executed with due consideration for the amenities of the area. And Irene is just checking the specification.
I'm just checking the specification, and what has been specified is a breakable but friendly membrane, where apparently we need to consider ecology as well. So it's a but friendly fix to the existing timber sacking. So
As long as it's breathable one way
it
and
is
not both.
breakable, it is, and as says but friendly as well. So.
Lovely, thank you for that. Okay, so we have a proposal by Councillor Piling, seconded by Councillor Harris, that the application is approved subject to no outstanding objections from Natural England. All those in favour?
That is unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. Now, before I close this evening's meeting, I wish to register the committee's thanks to the work that our clerk, Robert, has done for us over a period of time. I understand he's going to pastures greener in an elevated position, and I think we are going to sadly miss the input. So could I ask, thank you. So thank you, Robert, on behalf of the committee, and we wish you well in your future endeavours. And I now pronounce at 37 minutes past 6, the meeting is closed. Thank you.
Before we do, can we just say to Robert, may he boldly goes where no Carmichael has gone before.